doing before. But I am going to try to probably be more consistent, maybe every 2 weeks. And if you've been following this channel, thank you to everyone that has subscribed to this channel. Thank you to everyone that leaves comments. There's some videos which I've made probably like 5 years ago that people are still watching and commenting on. You know, feel free to share as well the videos if you feel that other people will benefit. But most of all, leave a comment. You know, I'm someone that really respects any comment as long as it's about the topic. You know, even if you disagree with me, I don't mind. You know, that's what it's all about on social media. If you don't agree with something that I've said, if you don't agree with the topic, then that's fine. But if it's somewhere you're putting comments that are insulting other people, or if it's not relevant to the topic, then obviously I'm going to remove those comments. And I've been a couples counsellor for quite a while. I've been a counsellor for this is my 17th year, but I've worked with couples. I think probably 5 years into my career, I started working with couples. Now, couples counselling isn't for everyone, and it is a bit more specialised. It is a bit more intense. I'm not going to lie, it can be challenging at times, but I just love that. I love the challenge. So this thing that we're going to be talking about today is something that I've used with couples that I've worked with. I've got this information from, I think I either got it from the BetterHelp platform or from one of the books I've read. I can't remember where it's from. Sometimes if I can't remember, I'll probably add it to the comments later. But this is called Fair Fighting Rules. And this is a way, basically, that if you're having disagreements, which everyone has disagreements, you know, you can't say that you're going to eradicate. You know, when I hear couples say we've never had an argument, I'm not saying I'm skeptical because it could be true, but to me, I don't know. Like, you don't have to have, people think when you talk about arguments that it means, you know, full out insulting each other, shouting, screaming. To me, if you've got two human beings which are different and you've grown up in different environments, you're going to disagree. You can't agree on everything. So this is about how to disagree in a respectful way, I suppose. That's what it's called, Fair Fighting Rules. So thanks for joining. I can see people joining. Feel free to leave your comments, join in with the chat as well. So the first rule, there's 9 rules. These are fair fighting rules. And the first rule is, before you begin the disagreement, ask yourself, what's the reason you feel upset? Hi, I'm Splitting Chips. I like that name. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the compliment. What's the reason? What's the real reason? So this is a big thing, and so all of these things on this list are things that couples, if you're watching and you're in a relationship, you'll be able to understand. How does it get to, hi, I'm Bang Daniel, to being disappointed about something, and then the argument is about something else? So what it's trying to say is, let's just have a look. So what it's trying to say is, you need to stick to the topic, and that's another one of the things. But the first thing is, ask yourself before you even have the disagreement, what is bothering me? So if this is a good example I'm going to give now. So say someone is quite messy and they're always leaving towels everywhere, or their socks, or you know, I've worked with couples, but also I know people personally who do that thing where they take things out of the fridge, like milk, and then they leave the milk on the side, or they use butter and then they leave the lid off the butter. All these little things can add up. They might seem minor, but say if that's really bothering you, but you never share that with the person, but then all of a sudden you get into a disagreement and you just start railing off things, you know, and saying, you don't care about me, and you are inconsiderate, and you're this type of person, and I wish I never married you, and all this sort of stuff. The person listening is not going to have a clue what you're going on about. And that's why when sometimes people use that statement, where did all this come from? Or what's going on here? I don't understand it. I don't get it. It's because you're not really getting to the real reason. You're focused. You haven't really told that person what's been bothering you. So it's all built up. So one of the things to really be mindful of is always identify, before you even have the conversation with your partner, what's the thing that's bothering me? What's the real reason? Sometimes it's things like you feel unappreciated. Sometimes it's like you feel like you're what's the word called? You're growing apart from your partner. You might feel hurt by something that your partner said or did. So you have to identify that first. Then you'll be able to go into the disagreement or the discussion with a clearer picture of what it is you actually want to say. So that's the first one. The second one, and thanks for joining, I can see people. Someone said, I haven't got a rainbow. Oh my gosh. I haven't got a rainbow flag on my wall. I've got a picture which is called what's it called actually? 7 Rules of Life. And they've just got, and they're not even all the rainbow colours even. So I don't know anyway, but whoever said that, yeah, it's not a rainbow flag. It's not a flag in first place. It's a poster. And second of all, it's called 7 Rules of Life, and it's just got some colours which are, anyway, we'll get back to the live stream. That's a weird comment. The second thing is to discuss one issue at a time. This is important. So have you ever been in an argument? Because I know probably in some of my relationships previously where there's this thing you want to talk about with the person is, maybe you want to talk about childcare. Maybe you want to talk about, I don't know, something that's happened that week. And then it starts off in the right way. It starts off with the idea of, okay, let's have a discussion about something. And then it turns into everything else. It goes from, okay, I need some help with the housework to, oh, well, you've never loved me anyway, and you only dated me because of this, and you're not very good with the kids, and I'm only with you because of this. And before you know it, you're having an argument which has gone from A to B, and you don't even A to Z, and you don't even know how you've got there. So the fair fighting rules is to discuss one issue at a time. This is quite difficult for lots of people, because they've got so many things that they want to say in that particular disagreement that they're just throwing everything in there, and they think, yeah, it makes me feel better because I'm sharing all these things that have been bothering me. But you don't actually get to discuss you don't get to discuss the main issue. It is better to talk about one thing and resolve it, or at least get to the root of it, than to throw in 4 or 5 different things in a disagreement, and you're probably not going to get to understand or resolve any of them. I've been there myself. I've been there where you're having a conversation with a person about something. It's probably, with me, it's probably siblings. If I've had having one discussion about one thing, and then it turns into lots of other things, and you're thinking, where's this come from? Where's this going? And neither of you can stop it, because you're all then throwing out different little things. What it is as human beings, when we're being attacked, we feel we've got to defend ourselves, and then the main way that people defend themselves is throwing something back at that other person. So, well, you did this like 3 years ago, or you've done this and this, so nothing gets resolved. So that is one key thing that would be really helpful, and that is to discuss one issue at a time. So the third thing, which should be obvious, but it's not always something that people stick to, is no degrading language. So the worst thing you can do when you're angry is use degrading and insulting language to a person that you care about, because the problem is, hi Chancellor, thanks for joining, Chancellor. The problem is you can't take those words back, and what people forget is that even if you're angry and you're in the heat of the moment, once you've made back up with that person, they can't forget some of the words you've said. They might forgive you, they might say, say, it's okay, I know you were angry, but they're not going to forget it. So the key thing is, you have to learn as a human being that our tongue can be vicious. Words can be quite powerful. So you have to make a choice. I'm someone that I've been told that this was before I became a counsellor. I know people have said you can be vicious with your words. And this is probably, when I was quite young and stuff. And they'd say that your words are more hurtful than if you use like a weapon. And once someone said that to me, actually, 2 people said that to me. This is early, you're in your, like 18 in your 20s and stuff. I didn't realise that, because I just thought, well, okay, I'm good at giving insults if I need to. I'm good at defending myself if I need to. But then when someone said that, it made me reflect and think, do you know what, that is really true. Because if you're really horrible with your words, even if you're in the heat of the moment, even if you know you can say something which is going to really hurt someone, it's not worth it. It's not worth it at the time, because they're going to remember that far after you've said it. Long after you've said it. So to me, it's about respecting the fact that you're in a relationship, and you know that you could say something hurtful, but you're choosing not to. You're having the discipline to say, even as much as angry as I get, I'm never going to say to this person something that I'm going to regret. I'm never going to say something which goes below the belt. It's like Michelle Obama, you know, when they go low, we go, when they go low, we go high type thing. No matter if someone is kind of getting you to that point where they're really pushing and they're really pushing your buttons and they're really high, Alpha Moon, where they're really pushing you. It's the point is you don't need to go there. One person in the relationship sometimes has to be the stronger one, or has to be the one that de-escalates, because if you've got two people, that's why sometimes some relationships can become toxic, because you've got two people going at each other and there's not one person out of the two that has the maturity, that has the I don't know, just the ability to kind of say, come on, we've gone too far now. This is going too far. You know, maybe one person won't leave. Maybe one person won't say, let's take a time out. You'll just be going at it. And that's where these people who are arguing with each other for 2 or 3 hours. I mean, I don't have the energy for that. I don't know how people have the energy to argue. I know people who say they've been arguing all day on and off, or 2 hours straight. I couldn't do it. I couldn't have the energy to do that. But yeah, that's what happens. So no degrading language. The next thing, number 4, is to express your feelings with words and take responsibility. These are 2 separate things, so I'm going to break them down. Express with feelings really comes from the point of, there's so much people who, if you watch programs like Married at First Sight, if you just see people, sometimes when I'm in a supermarket and I'm watching how couples interact, when I'm working with couples, the amount of times people assume that people know what you're saying when you're not saying it is astounding. Feelings belong to you, so you then have the choice and the option to express them. So the thing is, let me, one moment. So the ability to so express your feelings is about, you know, not being scared to say, this is how I feel. And it doesn't mean this is how you feel, you've made me feel, because that's the difference. This is how I feel. I feel hurt because you know, you keep cancelling when we're supposed to meet up. I feel sad that we don't have enough time to spend together. Whatever it is, so expressing your feelings is really important. And when you're having a disagreement as well, it's about expressing your feelings in a way that the person can hear you. And then the second part of that is take responsibility. So sometimes, you know, when you're in a disagreement with someone and then you realize that, you know, where you went wrong, or things that you've maybe done that were not as good, putting your hands up and saying, do you know what, I was wrong there, that was my fault, can make a real big difference. So yeah, so taking accountability and expressing your feelings with words. So thanks for joining. Whoever's joining, feel free to leave it in the comments, and I can see there's a few people said a few things, so I'll just need to come back to that. The next one is to take turns talking. So this is another pretty simple one really, which is just about giving yourself time to listen to what the other person's saying, and also giving yourself a chance to express what you're saying, taking turns. So if you go to couples counselling, I don't know if any of you have been, but if you have, the whole purpose of couples counselling so that both parties can feel heard. I've worked with couples where, you know, I've done the timing thing where it's like 2 minutes for someone to speak and then the one person to listen, and then you turn it around. So if you don't take turns listening to each other, all it's going to be is that you're bombarding your partner with, oh, well, this is bothering me, and you're always doing this, and you're never looking after the kids, and I'm always, it just feels like an onslaught and an attack. And as human beings, all we're going to do is defend ourselves, or we're going to shut down and just not listen anymore. Because that's just part of like what our brain will do. It will say to us, this is an attack coming towards us. We need to defend ourselves, or we need to just shut this down because it's too much. So that is a major thing, is to take turns listening. So feel free, whoever's joining, to leave comments. I'd love to hear what you're thinking. The next one is another obvious one, which is just no yelling, no screaming, no shouting. If you can't express yourself to someone without it getting to the point where you're screaming, you're shouting, and I know that people will say things like, well, I have to shout because the person doesn't hear, or I'm only screaming because they're screaming at me, or I'm so frustrated, that's why my voice is getting louder. I mean, you'll go on TikTok and you'll have all these people making excuses for their behaviour by saying, well, I only did this because the person did this. I only did this because of this. You know, you're responsible for your behaviour. And if you get to a point where you are screaming at someone or shouting at someone, then you've got options, which could be to take time out, which could be to say, this is escalating too much. Should we just table it, pin it? Let's come back to it another time. But yeah, to me, it's just not worth it. It's not worth shouting at another person because it's only going to leave you feeling bad, no matter how much you think it's what you need to do at that time. It's just not. So yeah, anyone joining, let me know what you think. Feel free to leave in the comments. We're talking about fair fighting rules. We're talking about rules when you're getting into a disagreement with your partner, how to do that in a respectful way, really. So there's a few more things, which is taking time out. Take time out if things get too heated. So how many people get to a point in when they're having a disagreement where they just can't walk away, they have to keep going? Some of the reasons I've been told is that some people say if they feel that they're right, that they're not, what's the point in them walking away or stopping the argument? They want the other person to accept that they're in the right. If you come with that sort of attitude, to be fair, the argument's going to just go on for hours and hours, because if you say that you feel you're right and the other person is saying they feel they're right, there's no like compromise with that. You're both just going to be going at it until someone admits the other person is right. Whereas if you say things are getting heated, things are escalated, we're not really going on the same page, we agree to disagree, let's take a bit of time out, that's a win for both people. So on this on my YouTube channel, you can find a video. It's a short, actually, it's one of the shorts called Find the Win for Both of You. And that was exactly what this is about. Sometimes when you're kind of just going at each other in an argument, you're trying to win for yourself. You're trying to say, well, I need to be right. But is it worth it? Because even if you get the win at the end, you're just going to feel bad because the other person's going to feel unhappy. So it's finding the win for both of you. So there's two more things. Oh, actually, there's just one more, which is attempt to come to a compromise or an understanding. See, so these things, some of these things are linked because I've just talked about that briefly. So if you go into a disagreement with the idea that the main thing you want out of it is to find a compromise, it's likely that you're going to get a resolution, and also it's likely that that disagreement isn't going to go on for as long as if you go into it saying, I just want this person to accept that I'm right, or I just want an apology, or I just want this, or I just want this. You can still have those expectations, but deep down you can't make another person apologise to you if they don't want to. You can't make someone else say to you that that you're right if they don't want to. So if you go into any disagreement wanting something from the other person, that's less likely than if you go into it to say, I want to find a compromise, or I just want to understand what went wrong, or I just want to understand where they're coming from. So it's just a different way of looking at it. So with these fair fighting rules, it's just, you can make up your own as well. These are just taken from, I think this is either come, as I've said, from BetterHelp or from a book called Dare to Be Happier. It's from one of those I'm sure it sounds like it's probably from BetterHelp. So all you can do really is you can maybe look at some of these, watch this video and look at some of these rules, and you can develop your own, or you can put these in place. But write in the comments if you want to which of these rules. I'll put them in the description so you can see them as well in more depth. So yeah, so you can have a look on, you can have a look after, and then you can probably put your you can decide if you want to put what am I saying? You can make up your own. So you can take these fair fighting rules, and then you can decide to adapt them. That's the word I was looking for. I don't know, it's probably too early in the morning. Adapt. Or you can just use these, but let me know what you guys think, which of these fair fighting rules suited you the best. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll speak to you all soon. Anyone that watches on the replay, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll speak to you all soon. Have a great week. Bye.